What's going on YouTube? My name is Sweat. Welcome back to another Apex Legends video. In today's video, we are going to be going over how to get more kills in Season 4. Now, in the comments down below, before we start this video off, I do want to encourage you to comment your highest kills of Season 4 so far. And without further ado, let's get into some tips on how to get you more kills. Alright everybody, so the tips we're going to be going over in this video are, number one, to be grabbing some good teammates that actually know the game plan, which is of course going to be to get you the highest amount of kills possible. Tip number two, always pushing gunfire, but also being smart about it at the same time. Tip number three is going to be holding on to a good weapon combo. Tip number four is landing in a hot location. Tip number five, using a mobile legend. Tip number six, not looting for too long. And last but not least, tip number seven, tracking the flight path of the dropship. Alright, so tip number one is grabbing one or two nice teammates that actually know the game plan, which is of course getting you as many kills as humanly possible. Before we get into this tip, I know everybody doesn't have people online constantly to play with, so we're going to go over this both while playing with friends and while playing solo. First off, if you do have friends online, what you want to do is get them in the lobby and make sure they know what the game plan is. If they are nice enough, they will crack shields for you and call out who's weak so you can get more kills and maximize the potential kills in the lobby. This can lead to easy 20 bombs or even higher, especially if you have a hot start and drop a few kills off the rip. The second method to getting high kills would be playing solos with random teammates and pushing absolutely everything. This will obviously be tougher than playing with the full squad because you don't have the people to rely on if things get out of hand and if you have to retreat. Especially if you're running solo, you're going to have to play the games a bit differently, such as getting good positioning, slowing down your gameplay a bit, and always making sure that you have the height advantages and other things that would be the opposite if you were in a full squad. With a full team, you can be a bit more aggressive in my opinion than if you're running solo. You need to be more careful of your surroundings because normally the randoms aren't going to be helping you much and it's usually going to be a 1v3. So like I said, you're going to have to play it a little more passively and a little smarter than if you're in a full squad. Now the next tip is always pushing gunfire but also being smart about it. Now this tip is absolutely essential in getting high kill games, and that's pushing every single bit of gunfire that you hear on the map. Now I want you guys to keep in mind that you need to have a balance of being smart while pushing teams while also being super aggressive. Don't be running into an open field and trying to shoot all three of the enemy teammates at once. You need to be making every fight a 1v1 and limit yourself from getting shot at from multiple angles at the same time. Also, like I mentioned earlier, this will be a lot easier to push teams if you are in a squad rather than if you are playing solo, so just keep that in mind. Another thing to note is to always keep zone placement in mind along with the timer of when the zone is closing, because you're never going to want to go too far out of the zone for one team if there's an opportunity to get way more kills across the map, let's say. You have to be strategic about it and think to yourself, will that team still be there if I just leave them alone for now and move on to another squad? Or will they get third partied? In that case, you would want to push them. But if you think they're still going to be around later in the game, then go on, move to another squad. There's more kills, more opportunities elsewhere. Tip number three is holding on to a good weapon combo. Now, having weapons that you're comfortable with is honestly one of the most crucial aspects to take into consideration when going for high kill games. For example, I know my playstyle and I know my weapon combos that I like to enjoy and I like using. And let me tell you, having a charge rifle and devotion is not the move for me. I'd much rather have a 99 and a peacekeeper on my hands than those weapons. In the ideal scenario, I would suggest that you have a weapon that's good up close and a weapon that can deal damage and get you knocks at long range as well. Perhaps taking a weapon like an R99 or a Peacekeeper for close range gunfights, and then a 301 for medium to long range gunfights would suit you best. But that's up to you guys to decide at the end of the day what weapon combinations fit your playstyle the best. Tip number 4 is pretty obvious one. It's going to be landing in a hot location. Now, landing hot is somewhat questionable at times, but it has to be done, especially if you're going for these big high kill games. Now, I mentioned in my last tip video on how to win more games in Apex Legends Season 4 that if you're going for wins, you shouldn't be landing at places like Mirage Voyage, Train Yard, and places of that nature that have a ton of people going to them with not a lot of loot to spread around. But if you're going for straight kills, it's going to be the exact opposite. Landing at these places will guarantee that you either come out of these areas with 5 or 6 kills, or most of the time, which is more realistic, you won't actually make it out of there most of the time, but you got to take the risk. You got to be willing to take that risk if you want these high kill games. Another thing to keep in mind is that RNG will play a factor if a ton of people are landing at a certain location. So don't get down on yourself if you don't get good loot for the first couple of games. Just keep landing at these spots, and when the time is right, then trust me, you're going to get that purple shield and you're going to get the R99 with the purple light extended mag. Tip number 5 is using a mobile legend. Now, this tip will not apply to every single player out there, but I'm sure that if you don't drop high kills often, this will help you out. Now, playing a legend that has mobility is crucial in Apex Legends, especially if your movement is not top tier. Having Wraith's Phase or Pathfinder's Grapple handy can make a huge difference and often save you from going down more times than not. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that achieving high kill games with immobile legends is impossible. I'm just saying that unless your movement, decision making, and overall game knowledge isn't elite, then it's going to be very tough compared to legends that can escape situations easier. Another way to think about that statement is that the more mobile your legend is, then the more room for error you have while still being able to escape situations. Alright, Brandon, get out of the loot boxes after 20 minutes, man. Those 2 extra syringes are not worth getting ran up on by a third party, and it's also hindering your chances of dropping high kill games. A big key to success in getting high kill games is always being moving, so I would say to grab only the essentials when going for these types of games. If you have the weapon loadout in the beginning that you want, then just focus on grabbing ammo, meds, and armor swaps if needed. This will guarantee that you don't waste too much time looting and also have more time to get back into the fight and get those kills that you need. Now, this last tip is an underrated one in my opinion and should mostly be used to seek out enemies in the very beginning into the middle of the games, and that is tracking the flight path of the dropship. It's important to know where these people are landing so that you can rotate quickly to other areas of the map that might be hot and have a lot of people at them. It's very tough to drop a high kill game when you land somewhere and then happen to rotate to an area that's dry as hell and has no people at it. Hope you guys did enjoy these tips on how to get more kills in Season 4 of Apex Legends. If you guys are new, as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you enjoyed. It's been Sweat. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.